shift topics here and talk about NCIC summoning Rigathi Gachagua. First of all, let me start with you, Cherargei, on this conversation. When Rigathi Gachagua, the former deputy president, said that if things don't go according to plan, then the 2007-2008 would be likened to a Christmas party. Was that insightful or insensitive?
Thank you, Trevor. Before I just make the comment, let me say this. I can assure my colleagues here there are much more important matters in this country to adjourn the Senate to discuss of, like the failure of National Treasury to disperse 74.98 billion Kenya shillings to count.
Are you saying a missing Kenyan is not
those we will
enough?
leave it to I want to advise the activist and the wife to visit the Foreign Affairs Office, because I realized they were demonstrating outside the Tanzanian embassy. What they should have done is to either go Ministry of Foreign Affairs to seek help, and I think the government will provide the necessary help.
Are you saying adjourning the Senate for discussing a missing Kenyan is not important?
It's not as important as these gentlemen would want to put it. Because we have far much more
missing
important.
Kenyan has not been found in this.
There are many missing Kenyans.
Now, if this was one of you, you would have adjourned the House. If this was one of the legislators who was missing, you would have adjourned the House. You're saying here...
the adjournment is a very serious motion. These are activists who thrive in such crises.
But he's still missing.
He's still, but the Tanzanian authorities have said they released him.
But where is he?
Now, that's why I'm saying the family should go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, demand the details, because the government cannot be the one going to check the flight manifest of all the airlines in this country. They file as per. That is why I'm saying. I
don't think you will going to win.
No.
You cannot say
it's not about winning. It's about being objective.
You cannot say a missing Kenyan is.
If today, God forbid, Trevor, if today you attack, you walk to Kilimani police station and report the matter. You don't stand on the road and say the police will not have been robbed. That is why I'm requesting that instead of them going to Tanzanian embassy, they should just walk to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, demand to see the flight manifest, then the government can pursue that matter. That is the only way. But if you go and address media, how will the government know your complaint? You must be specific so that the government can know the details of what happened and even contact the Tanzanian authorities. So who do you want to, if you address media, who do you want to, for them to contact the Tanzanian authorities?
Trevor,
anyway, that matter
Kenya does not work together.
Yes.
If somebody has come back to the country, there is a port of entry, you are taken a photograph, your passport is stamped. Unless this government doesn't work together, the Minister of the Department of Immigration should be able to tell us whether Boniface Mwangi arrived in Kenya or not. And if he has not, then the necessary channels, beginning with the president himself, that is his first responsibility, should call his counterpart. And Musalia Mudavadi should call his counterpart. And the Kenyans should have a right to know. Otherwise, we have every right to adjourn the House to discuss the disappearance of Boniface Mwangi.
But I can assure you it will not happen.
Trevor, I think
so sure they say that.
Yes, even as we want to move to.
In fact, if they were fair, they should have raised statement by yesterday.
Okay. I think before we move to the next agenda of discussion today, I think I once again want to ask Senator Cherargei, please be sensitive, please be human. You know, it's biblical, Trevor, when you say that it's not the responsibility of the government of Kenya to go and check plain manifests. What are you saying? Biblically, the Bible records that if one of 100, sheep gets lost, that the shepherd will leave behind the 99 and look for the one sheep that is missing. I mean, other Kenyans are safe. The government, the shepherd in this case, should forget about the 99 sheep that are safe and look for the one that is lost. Senator Cherargei cannot, sit here and say that that one goat because 99, that one sheep because 99 are safe is not important. We have to be responsible. It is, and then there is a contestation. Why the government should check these manifests and provide Kenyans with information is because there is a contestation that the government, which Senator Cherargei here is, representing, says that Boniface Mwangi was released by the Tanzanian authorities. The family is saying he has not been released. So there is a contestation. It is upon the government which has a responsibility of ensuring that every other single Kenyan is safe, to prove to the world that Boniface Mwangi is hiding, that Boniface Mwangi was released. That's why the government must check the manifests. So, Senator Jerai cannot say that we can talk about more important matters. One Kenyan is very important. One sheep. It is not recorded in the Bible for nothing. Unless Senator Cherargei here wants to tell us that he doesn't even believe in the Bible and what is there. So don't be that blind, Senator Cherargei, in this power. Let him now prosecute it. Sorry?
Will you guys move to adjourn the House?
Yes, we are going to come together with Senator Maanzo and like-minded Kenyans. You have heard Senator Cherargei say here that if we have the numbers, that is what they keep saying. Because now they are with ODM and they're boasting about the numbers. You know, he's saying if we have the numbers, we can raise it. We will raise it, even if it doesn't happen because of the numbers. And let me also tell Senator Cherargei that these numbers they keep boasting about, they are temporal, and they should get very worried. Let them, because their pride comes from the support by ODM. I want to tell Senator Cherargei, please listen to both sides, the both voices of the ODM. Before you continue with your grandstanding. One side is telling you there is broad-based government. The other side is telling you ODM is going to have a presidential candidate in 2027. So please, don't bring this grandstanding and chest thumping just because you have ODM numbers. We are going to do it with Senator Maanzo, and whatever the outcome will be, we will be able to do it. But Boniface Mwangi's life is important, like any other Kenyan. You cannot tell us that there are more important matters. So every Kenyan is important.
We'll move a motion to adjourn the House.
Trevor, you need to be fair because you need to be fair. This gentleman will not succeed in moving the House to adjourn. I can advise for free. They don't have numbers. The numbers they have is phone numbers. So they will not succeed. Because I've told you, what is important that counties are coming to an halt for lack of a disbursement of 74.98 billion.
Which is the mistake of your government.
Number two, that is
the failure of your government.
That is the issue. You need to protect me from heckling. This is not an heckling session. Mr. Speaker, sorry, Trevor. So that is what I'm saying. Number two, I want to ask Senator Newt to be less emotional. I'm being objective. I'm saying that these activists, including the wife, should just walk across the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and demand and report officially. That's why I'm using an example. If today, God forbid, you are attacked, you don't stand on the road, you walk to a police station and report, I've been attacked. You do it formally, formal complaint. But if we sit today in a power breakfast, talk about it, these gentlemen, until Trevor, you ask what you are going to do. That is when they realized they needed to adjourn the House. They realized they needed to make a statement. They have not, I can tell you, these two gentlemen, they have not even drafted one line of a statement to demand the whereabouts of those Kenyans. So my only concern is let us be objective, let us not be emotional. I know this is the time they want to attack government. They are looking for any fodder to attack the government. And on the issue of broad-based government, Trevor, today at 9 exactly, the Prime Minister Raila Odinga will be caucusing with the Senate on issues of national importance. I want to assure, and you listened to Senator Oburu Odinga over the weekend, that broad-based government is working. I think the bitterness of these two gentlemen is that they are not in government and they are using anything possible. I can assure them, because they were asking me, do they think that broad-based government works? It works. And we have said we'll work up to 2027. From 2027.
Prime Minister Raila Odinga to comment on Boniface Mwangi first before addressing the Senate this morning.
Okay. No, it's not addressing the Senate. Issue. Understanding order number 29 of the Senate standing orders. The Prime Minister is not coming as a visiting dignitary to address the Senate on plenary. He is coming to caucus. And I can assure you, Senator Maanzo or Newto will not dictate the agenda of the Senate. Those issues can be handled professionally and formally through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Raila Odinga is not a Minister of Foreign Affairs. He doesn't work for as a
He's
naked
an
of
opposition
Tanzania.
leader.
He's not an opposition leader. He's working as a partner or broad-based. Why is Manzo running away from opposition leader? Yet the other day, Kalonzo and Gachagua and him were saying they are opposition leader.
That is going to happen.
We are going to discuss
We
issues
want to
of
hear the opinion of Raila Odinga on Boniface Mwangi this morning.
I didn't
And
know
you raise
Manzo
it.
can be heckler.
What is the,
He will have his chance. Can you restrain him?
Yes. What is the agenda?
Now, one of the agendas that we hope to discuss, which I'm privy to, is on the status of the ongoing debate on entrenchment of NGCDF, the constitutional amendment, the issues of Senate Oversight Fund, expansion of legislative mandate, bursary issuance from the GAF, from the MPCDF, from the governor. So we are going, and of course any other issues of national importance where the Prime Minister feels that, where the Prime Minister will try and have a legislative agenda for the Senate. He will share his thoughts and experience on how we can. You remember, he's a champion of devolution. So one of the other key factors.
The champion of human rights.
Yes,
champion of human rights.
You need to.
What you're saying.
Champion of human rights.
In Senate, you protect us from people. You can rule him out of order. He can leave the show.
He's just adding to what you're saying.
Yes, he can leave. That's why I'm saying he's a champion and father of devolution. So we'll hope to discuss and caucus.
Okay.
It is a discussion. So coming to the issue of you had asked about, so the issue of the Kenyans who, I want to thank the Tanzanian authorities. Please, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, keep disciplining the ELBF activists who come to your country. Finally, you have asked about the summonses of NCIC. I want to strongly, without and reservation, to condemn the statement of former and second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua. Those remarks were very unfortunate. It was inciting to the public, saying that if elections are rigged, the 2007, 2008 will look like a Christmas party. That was too low of the leader who was hold the second most powerful office. And we should be responsible as leaders. We should be careful in what we say this country. That's why when you go to Rwanda and you are a prolific journalist and maverick journalist who has covered media for some time now. That's why when you go to Rwanda, when you make some comments, you are prosecuted immediately. Because the unity, stability and cohesiveness of this country, we must protect, Trevor. We must protect as a country. We cannot, as leaders, if we can make reckless remarks as such as that, what are we headed as a country? And therefore, I want to ask the NCIC, although they came a bit late, that no one is above the law. The former Deputy President must and should appear before NCIC to tell the country what he meant. Personally, before I have appeared before NCIC, we must submit ourselves to institutions that we created under Constitution 2010. And I hope people like Manzo and you two should not politicize this issue, because he made it on one of the shows of some of the online media platform. And he made it with, in fact, he didn't mistake it, he made it rooting, knowing the fragility of the peace across the country. But I want to tell the country and to tell former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua that if in as much this thirst and anger for power should not drive us to bring wage among Kenyans. And we have said, and President William Ruto has said, no Kenyan, even one, will go against another Kenya on account of an election. These guys have sensed a defeat. That 2027, the re-election of President William Ruto is a sure bet. And that is why a sure bet as a cocksure. Because they have realized that is why they are making inflammatory remarks.
By who? You said it's a sure bet. Who is a sure bet?
No, they have panicked. That is why you see Rigathi Gachagua making a lot of noise.
The election of the president is a sure bet. How?
Yeah, it is a sure bet because that is panic. You know, we are politicians.
How do you know this?
We have known, of course. You have seen the performance of the president. The other day he was launching 1,100 housing units here, Mukuri housing.
Which one?
Even in my own. Can I have my chance so that they can? Can you provide pen and paper to Manzo so that he can write it?
In fact, I'm giving you more time because you're alone.
Yes.
The issue here is that one of the statements that the former deputy president made.
Yes.
Is it insensitive or insightful? Because this chest thumping that you have is where the concerns come in. In fact, some of the people from your side have already said that this is a sure shot. 2027 means you're going to...
Whether we like it or not.
Yes. No. Some of your allies have even said that is for Tutajaza. This is where the problem is. And can't you see that?
Trevor, as the planners of this morning show, plus your directors, in future provide pen and paper, so that your panelists can take down, so that when I'll come back, so that I don't need to be echoed or derail my thoughts. What I'm saying, the reason we are not just stamping, what we are saying is, look at the track record of the president so far, 2.5 years down the line. There is a lot that he has achieved for this country that we are sure.
Very poorly.
Let him finish.
Why
he will never finish. Charagai will never finish.
It's 2 against 1.
He will never finish.
If you had told me that they would be heckling, I would not have turned up for this show.
It's 2 against 1 because
yes. And that is why Kalonzo will never be the president of this country. Because if this is the quality of advisors, you can imagine how low we will sink.
Focus on the discussion.
Let me focus, and that is why you need to protect me so that I give you lethal points. What I'm saying, Trevor, is very simple. The track record of the president is very clear. And that is why I'm condemning the statements by the former deputy president. That is insightful against Kenyans. And even people like Senator Newt, who was his close ally, should have been the one to advise him against making reckless statements. You can imagine Kenyans, over 1,000 Kenyans we lost in 2007, 2008. Many Kenyans, this matters ended in ICC. Many Kenyans were uprooted or deported from their homes. We should be bringing cohesiveness. I wish you would have criticize the president based on the track record of performance. Okay. Question the housing program. Question the issue of university funding model. But it looks like this should be condemned, and I want to urge NCIC to crack down on any other leaders who are including leaders even on our political divide.
Including
if there are comments that Cherargei has made,
like the ones made this morning,
that bring insightful to the nation, the NCIC should not fear nobody.
Okay.
And that is why we are saying there is no one above the law, including Cherargei.
All right. Joe, were these statements simply insensitive or insightful? Those are two different things. You could say something that irks people and they feel that it's insensitive of you to say it. And then there's something that riles people into a fight, which is now insightful.
Trevor, in this whole debate about what Rigiji said, I have watched other people condemning Rigiji for making this statement. And they have been very careful to avoid the first part of this statement, which was, if IEBC messes up elections and forces Ruto on Kenyans, then there'll be consequences more grave than those of 2007. Simply, but they are taking the second part about the consequences. Nobody will tell you from that side where Senator Cherargei belongs. Nobody will tell you about the first part, rigging the elections. Because that is a condition that Rigiji was talking about. That if you rig elections...
Point of order on this.
He's becoming the heckler. He has been condemning here. He's becoming the heckler.
Point of
you
order.
Never heard me raising a point of order. Take a pen and a paper.
Okay,
you are the person here. So, but please write. So, nobody will tell you about what the first part of Rigiji's statement. And I find that very, 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 very pretentious. Just arguing to your convenience and to throw hatred at Rigiji. Now, you have done something very good to ask him. And this NCIC, by the way, I don't think it's an independent commission, because if you are talking about, if NCIC is summoning Rigathi Gachagua for just saying that, elections in 2027 should not be, rigged. We have had Kamket, Honorable Kamket, say that they know how to manufacture a president for 24 years. NCIC did not summon or even raise any word against Kamket. We have had Sudi say that they cannot have a president for just one term. It has never happened. Ruto must do a second term. Senator Cherargei, seated here, is reported to have said, sisi hatukuja hii town ati kufanya kazi kwa muhula mmoja. This Senator Cherargei is seated here. So, I mean, when you are uttering words, or when leaders have uttered words, which actually imply that it is not the results of the election of 2027 that will determine who becomes president, but other factors, best known to Senator Cherargei here, Honorable Kamket, Honorable Sudi, and you do not think as NCIC or as Kenyans supporting William Ruto, you do not think that is something that is already causing panic. About it in the Senate the other day, and Senator Cherargei here, rose on a point of order and pretended not to understand a very simple English word, fierce, just because of the convenience. So what we are saying is, if NCIC wants to be seen as an impartial body, anybody who utters words to show that that the presidency in 2027 will not be determined by the results of the election, but other matters should be summoned. And I would like Senator Cherargei, when he comes back, to address the first part of Reggie's statement, that whether there are plans to rig the elections, because it is only, he said that 2027 will be worse than 2007 if the elections are messed up with. Let them address that. The other thing that we must say, because I have listened very keenly to Senator Cherargei, and I don't interrupt people when they are talking, even when they tear me apart. I mean, he has said that those of us that are on this other side, that we are sensing defeat, that Ruto's re-election is a sure bet. Trevor, Senator Cherargei is a smart person. He is a trained lawyer. He can be able to do some calculations. Where will President Ruto get the votes? President Ruto won over Raila Odinga by a margin of about 200 and something thousand votes. President Ruto has lost all the votes in the mountain, almost 4 million. President Ruto, is now the chest thumping that you see Senator Cherargei with is because of ODM support. And they believe that they will get the support of ODM. That is why he's saying it's a sure bet. But, and I think I had indicated it before, Trevor, listen to what Sifuna is saying. If I were Cherargei, if I were President Ruto, I would get very worried. I would not celebrate what I hear from Oburu Odinga, for example, and I have a lot of respect for Oburu Odinga, but Oburu Odinga is already a big beneficiary of the broad-based government. I would not listen very keenly to Oburu Odinga.
What is the difference? Oburu?
No. Oburu Odinga's son has already been appointed as an advisor of William Ruto. Oburu Odinga, there are rumors. These are unconfirmed, and if they are not true.
Rumors here. What I'm trying.
Okay, yes, he is a beneficiary. He's a beneficiary. The son, following
the president to listen to Sifuna, but not to Oburu.
Yes, Sifuna. Yes, that's what I was going to explain. That Sifuna has not directly benefited from this broad-based government, and therefore he is, more realistic in his assessment. So when Sifuna tells you that Ruto will lose with or without Raila, Sifuna has said that.
Why is it
when
right?
When Sifuna tells you, Sifuna is the Secretary General of ODM. When Sifuna tells you that ODM will be fronting a presidential candidate in 2027, I think if I were Ruto, if I were Cherargei, I would listen more to the Secretary General of a party than other leaders who are direct beneficiaries of the party. Of course, you can see my friend Atadi these days attends all the rallies. Where government is and supports this broad-based government. Of course, we know he has been able to get the seat that was occupied by Ndindi Nyoro. So such people, if you listen to the CSs, of course there are people who are already in that government. Listen to somebody independent like Sifuna. So what I'm saying is, when Cherargei says that Ruto's re-election is a sure bet, where is he going to get the votes? And that's why Ruto is very mad again with the Natembeya. because Natembeya is consolidating the Luhya vote. And I can tell you, Ruto has no votes in Luhya land. Ruto has lost all the votes in the mountain. And so, elected by who? And Raila will either be running or there will be a presidential candidate from ODM. Ruto will not garner even more than 2 million votes.
It's the one who ran away with the certificate of ODM Kenya. And that gave birth to the ODM. And I know he said once in prayer breakfast, and he's organizing one for, I don't know why we pray, and then they come and mislead Kenyans. But that is beside the point. What I want to say is that Wiper, and any other even UDA, has not freedom of, you should distinguish freedom of association and loyalty to the party. Even Republican, Democrats, ANC, EFF. And in fact, I'm warning the likes of Newt and others who want to be rebels within UDA. The party will come hard on them.
They have already left.
They have not. That is why the other day, Newt feared to even wear the DCP colors, because he knew the implication. Did you see him speaking? He has not spoken about DCP because he knows party loyalty is key. Even Maanzo will tell you in Wiper, he cannot appear today and start championing the interests of another party. And that is what Gloria failed. You know, I have to, and I wish her well, by the way. I wish Senator Gloria all the best in her legal pursuit to look. But I want to advise any person who wants to dissent with their sponsoring parties. Be very careful. If you want to be independent, just run under independent ticket.
But how is she dissuading from the sponsoring party by associating with Fred Matiang'i?
But there's a statement that she made. The statement that she made in Kisii during Matiang'i's homecoming. The statement he made on Friday after appearing before UDA disciplinary was made in bad faith by saying, you know, the fact that Matiang'i is from my community, I had to be there. Which other defense can you? And my lawyers misled her. No, but you don't go and promote ideals. I cannot today go and promote ideals of another party.
There was no party there.
No, we know Matiang'i is associated with a party called UPIA, or is it UPIA?
But it's not declared.
No, but he said, you know, party leader of Senator Gloria Oroba, as it is, should be President William Ruto. But she was saying on record,
Dan Manzo is, you should be disciplined because Dan Manzo is from White.
But promoting ideals, I'm saying, listen, the Political Parties Act is very clear. Promoting ideals, and I am using an example when DCP was being launched. Did you see Newt wearing even colors of DCP? Because he knows the implication. Did he speak about DCP? He knows the implication. He cannot, because he knows the moment he wears colors of DCP or makes a comments about DCP, for example, or even Manzo wears colors of UDA or supports UDA, ideals of UDA, he will be disciplined.
That is on the freedom of association. Okay, fine.
Yes.
That, be that as it may, because it's an argument that is on both sides.
Yes.
What about the rule of law?
The rule of, by the way, let me tell you, under Article 9,
she was still expelled and a seat declared vacant.
Under Article 10 of the Constitution 2010, there is principles of good governance and rule of law, one of the ideals. The rule of law says you must respect the party. Political Parties Act is in place, not as a gift, a Christmas gift, now that we are using the word Christmas. But this one is in good faith. Not as a Christmas gift card. It means also, you know, Trevor, we must have good manners in this country. One of the issues is democracy and rule of law. Political parties does not exist in vacuum. That is why we have parties that are well organized, because they are being funded from the National Exchequer. Number one. Number two, we have the legal framework that guides political parties. Okay. So today, if I'm elected in New Delhi and I start promoting other party, then how will we bring order and discipline and rule of law and democracy in the country? Right. Democracy must be organized.
Okay.
Yeah.
You too. On Gloria Oroba's expulsion and the seat being declared vacant.
Before I get into that, Trevor, allow me to say that I'm very disappointed with Senator Cherargei, because Senator Cherargei has become a professional flip-flopper. You know, he has said that, you remember him in this show, saying that Kalonzo has never been president because if his advisors are the likes of Senator Manzo, then he can never be president. Then he comes back from that time. He says that actually Senator Manzo is a very good advisor. He's the type that should be advising Rigiji. You can actually see the contradiction with Senator Cherargei, a lawyer of high standing. Yeah. So Senator Cherargei, even as you support the government, and I know you don't support this government from your heart, but because it's politically expedient for Nandi politics, it's good to take care of your interests. But please don't be such, a flip-flopper. Because you could end up embarrassing yourself. That you say somebody is a poor advisor. In one instance, when you come back, you say he's the best advisor ever because he has said what you want to hear. He keeps saying that, Ruto was the track record is clear. He has mentioned affordable housing, the launch and the handover of those units and the happiness in the people that were handed over these houses. But let me remind Senator Cherargei that if they were actually handed these houses, because President Ruto is a very good marketer, if they were handed, I think we will do some research and see how many were handed these houses. If those faces were happy, thank you, they were happy. But behind those happy faces, happy in quotes, those happy faces, they are very sad payslip holders, which is something that Senator Cherargei does not want to talk about. So there are some very sad, crying, payslip holders. There are UHC health workers in the streets of Kenya. And now that he's talking about the track record, and I believe health is much better than, of course, where you live. And I'm not trying to say that people should not be given affordable housing. So when he's talking about a track record of William Ruto, let him also look at these rights. Let him also address the violation of human rights that President Ruto has perpetrated. Abductions, killings, and also the intolerance of President William Ruto. And the case we are talking about, which I'm coming to, of Gloria Oroba, is a sterling, example on the intolerance of President Ruto, and not just Senator Gloria Oroba. With the intolerance of President Ruto. And I'm saying this because he has talked about a track record that will earn President Ruto, in Senator Cherargei is thinking a re-election. These are also issues. It is not only Senator Gloria Oroba who displays, Ruto's intolerance. Look at the people who brought him to the mountain. Rigathi Gachagua, Ndindi Nyoro, Mithika Linturi, Justin Muturi, Moses Kuria. All these people have been kicked out by President Ruto because of his intolerance. And so even as you talk about the track record, know that there are so many underlying issues that are much, much, much more important in the minds and thinking of Kenyans. And we wish that this matter will be sorted in 2027. He says President Ruto has never lost an election. True. Of course, he has never lost an election. He will lose the first one in 2027. There is always a first time. So it doesn't necessarily follow that because you have never lost an election, that now you will never, ever lose an election again. Senator Cherargei will be here. May God keep us so that you can see President Ruto losing the first election, the most critical, I think, in his life. Now, coming to before I come to the issue of Gloria, he has said that I never spoke during the unveiling of DCP. And you never I think Senator Cherargei needs to be more observant on matters. Nobody else spoke in that particular function. And I would challenge him to tell me whether he saw anybody else speak. If I had been given an opportunity to speak, I would have spoken and said, yes, I would have spoken and said, and I would have said that this is the party that I'm going to defend my my seat in 2027 on. And that the DCP is the party I'm going to defend my election on in 2027. Very good. In 2027. That is a party that I'm going to vie on. So you also and I would have said that. I've not joined it formally for now, but that this will be my party in 2027. Okay. And there is nothing, wrong with saying I might associate with this. It's just like saying, I think I will marry this girl. You are in school, but you have seen a good girl and you say, when the right time comes, I'll marry this girl. I'm in UDA for now. But there is no problem with me saying that I will vie on DCP in 2027. The other thing, let me tell Senator Cherargei that those of us who support Rigathi Gachagua are not afraid of being kicked out of UDA. And I actually want to tell him to go. I want to challenge UDA to kick us out and precipitate by elections and see what will happen.
Okay.
So let him not come here and threaten us. Okay. We are in UDA by right for now.
And you will leave.
At the right time, yes. At the right time, yes. I mean, my contract with UDA is up to 2027. I have not talked about Gloria. Very quickly, I'll talk about it. I mean, Gloria, the only thing, and I will be very short, Manzo. Gloria, you only need to see the lightning, the speed. Yeah. That Gloria Roba was, kicked out of Senate in from Friday to yesterday, and you have talked about a court order. It has not been honored, and so it is intolerance that we are talking about.
All right.
And so. That is President Ruto for you. Okay. That is UDA for you.
All right.
Yes, on Gloria's matter, the reason Gloria is troubled. There was a letter from C.S. Mutua when Gloria Oroba, in her capacity as a senator, brought up an issue of Kenyans who paid monies to get jobs abroad and apparently, lost their money and never got the jobs, and others found themselves in a country called Myanmar, which has where they went into slavery, and some have come back. And she just wanted the cabinet secretary in charge of labor to sort out that particular issue. And that's where our troubles began, because there was a letter which was written by the cabinet secretary seeking, discipline.